After 2 days of trading attacks, both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are taking a break from the campaign trail today. Yesterday, Trump called Clinton a world-class liar and the most corrupt candidate ever. Clinton responded that everything Trump said about her was an outlandish lie. With the presidential nominations in place and only weeks to go until the convention, speculation about potential running mates has ramped up considerably. CBS News senior political editor Steve Chaggaris is in Washington, and Caitlin Huey-Burns, RealClearPolitics national political reporter, is here with me on set. Steve, I'd like to start with you because a new Monmouth University poll tested possible vice presidential picks and found that most would have no real impact on voter support. Interestingly, two stood out, two names: Bernie Sanders, who could attract undecided voters to the Democratic column, and Sarah Palin, who could potentially hurt the GOP ticket. What do you make of this poll?
Well, let's just first say that I think the initial point that the vice presidential pick will likely have very little effect in November. I went and looked back at 2008, the exit polls, and remember Sarah Palin, highly controversial pick, as you mentioned in this poll too, but in 2008, highly controversial. And it turns out that voters then said that a majority of voters, 53%, said it had a minor or no impact on their vote in 2008. And so if somebody like Sarah Palin, who really was getting a lot of attention in 2008, didn't have that much of an impact on the vote, then I can't imagine that whoever's picked this time around is going to have that huge of an impact. That being said, you mentioned Sanders. There are a couple of interesting numbers here. Sanders, 44% of independents and 53% of Democrats said they would be more likely to vote for Hillary Clinton if she picked Sanders. I thought that was a pretty interesting number.
Yeah, that is.
And on the Republican side, 48% of Republicans, 46% of Republicans as well on Rubio. 48% of Republicans said that they would be more likely to vote for Trump if he picked Rubio, and 46% for Gingrich. And so ultimately, it probably won't have an effect, but I think if you isolate the question and you ask voters now, there could be some initial, people might give Trump and Clinton a second look if they pick certain people.
Yeah, interesting. Caitlin, I want to ask you, what should each candidate here be looking for in a potential running mate?
Well, each of them have different goals, right? Hillary Clinton has made clear that she wants someone who can do the job. She has experience with picking a vice presidential candidate through her husband. And obviously, Bill Clinton picked someone who was surprising at the time, given that they were very much alike. He and Al Gore, young from the South, et cetera. But she's looking for someone that can do the job. She already has a short list that's been put out there. I think whoever she picks won't be that surprising, just given that we know most of these names. Donald Trump's decision, I think, will be very interesting to watch because it will give a clue as to how he's making campaign decisions, right? He's in the middle of a campaign shakeup. He's trying to reach a pivot point, so to speak, in his campaign. And a lot of Republicans I talked to say that his vice presidential pick could really signal to Republicans some sort of way the campaign is going.
Yeah,
so
direction
his will be direction,
campaign.
exactly.
Yeah. So as both candidates have been going after each other on the economy, today a group of major business leaders endorsed Hillary Clinton, saying that they support her economic plans. The list includes current and former executives from Boeing, Netflix, and Alphabet. Steve, do you think that these endorsements suggest Clinton did a better job than Trump?
I think what it suggests is that there are a lot of Republicans who don't like Donald Trump right now, whether it's businessmen, whether it's national security folks. There are two former Bush-related national security folks that have come out for Clinton in the last week. And I think what it shows is that there are some that dislike Trump so much, some Republicans that dislike him so much that they're willing to go and say publicly that they're going to campaign and vote for Hillary Clinton. I mean, that should be a red flag for Trump. This is a guy who everybody was asking a month and a half ago, can he unify the party? Well, if you see more and more of these high-profile Republicans come out and say that they're actively going to go work for Hillary Clinton, he's not doing a great job of unifying the party. So that's something that Trump needs to pay attention to moving forward.
Caitlin, I want to ask you, despite facing questions about meager fundraising, slipping poll numbers, and campaign instability, polls show Donald Trump really running neck and neck right now with Hillary Clinton, especially in those key states, Iowa and Pennsylvania. However, he's losing by 8 points, it looks like, in the state of Florida. Is that encouraging to Donald Trump?
He certainly sees it as encouraging, and he's been trying to spin all of the controversies this week surrounding his campaign shakeup as and his lack of fundraising and lack of organization of saying, I'm only down, 6 to 8 points. This race will be determined in these battleground states as it has traditionally. So the fact that he is doing well in those states is significant, but he hasn't really been campaigning yet in these states. He's been having to fundraise significantly. So that's taken him to places like Arizona and Texas, which aren't really battlegrounds. So I'm wondering what those numbers will look like once he actually actively campaigns. Hillary Clinton has spent time in Ohio. She was there last week. She was in North Carolina yesterday. She's really focused on the battleground. She's on air in several battleground states. He is not. So we'll wait to see kind of what his campaign schedule looks like to see how he's looking at those numbers.
Caitlin Huey-Burns and Steve Chaggaris, thank you both so much for being with us.
Thanks, Jamie.